Here we are. Second of 4 videos I'm going to do this week. Whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. But what is it? What is it? Well, you already know. It's in the bleeding title, isn't it? But here we go. Burning Hammer. So this is off the new JPEGMAFIA album. Now, JPEGMAFIA, let me tell you, quite heralded hip-hop musician. I haven't covered JPEGMAFIA here. I actually did a written review for his collaboration album with Danny Brown, which was called Scare in the Hose, and it was mad, absolutely mad. I am not as much a fan of JPEGMAFIA as I kind of want to be. I think he does very exciting things with music, but a lot of it leaves me pretty cold. And I think at this point he's started to do quite similar things in his music, so it becomes less exciting quite considerably, quite quickly. But this latest album, Experimental Rap, I mean, it calls itself experimental. I don't like the word experimental, but I think that it's kind of reasonable for a few of these tracks to be called that. Yeah, I mean, weird album cover, which I don't think we need to pick apart, but yeah, it is what it is. Anyway, let's have a listen to this track, which I think there is a lot of interesting worth in looking at. Burning Hammer.
Sticks.
Sticks.
Sticks up.
Okay, so just in that intro, we've had these 2 different sections. Very quickly, first, this blown out, distorted word, sticks up. Just that. By itself, you know, probably a clip from some other, you know, film or whatever. I don't know, it doesn't matter. But that's big declamatory, in your face beginning to this track. Then we have this big drum fill in its own space. You know, drum fills often work in a specific section of a song where you can tell how long it's going to be by where the beat 1 is going to come in. But this occurs before the beat 1 comes in, so for several seconds we're expecting it to get to that beat 1. Eventually it does, but it's way longer than you would expect, and yeah, very complicated. And also it's on this separate drum kit to the one that then comes in with the main bit. Let's just listen again.
Sticks up.
Yeah, so then when everything comes in on like a, well, probably a sample drum kit, but nonetheless a sort of programmed deliberate drum kit, whereas the one before sounds a lot like a sample because it has a lot of extra sort of spatial audio to it. There's sort of, yeah, other stuff going on around that particular drum bit. Yeah, so this is a very, you know, deliberately, let's say, mindfucky way of beginning a track. We have this one big statement at the beginning, then that cuts, and then we get this big drum fill, which goes on longer than you would expect. It doesn't have a clear rhythmic center, and then that eventually comes to more of a stable section after this. So this is much more stable. We've got basically constant snare. Every 2 bars, we have some kind of fill as well. So it's not constant, but it is that semi-quaver rhythm, that 16th note rhythm that is constant. And that's also really what's going on in the flow as well. So JPEG is on top of this, just doing those semiquavers for a large proportion of what's going on here, with occasional moments of stopping. So it might not be not constant, but something more like right? So there's individual moments where one semiquaver is missed for emphasis on the word that finishes, which is cool. Are there little emphases, emphases, I suppose, emphases that are inside that semiquaver flow? Have a listen. Also, just on the first beat of each bar, we get a kick drum, and we also get a crash on a fair amount as well. So this is a really open texture. We've just got the drums, mainly just snare, and then the voice. So we've got no pitched instruments at all, which is a little odd even in rap. Yeah, so in that last line, for instance, we get okay, so we've got emphases there. Okay, so I mean, sometimes in twos, sometimes in threes, and sometimes we leave four semiquavers before the next emphasis. Right? So this is constantly evolving. It's not really the same from bar to bar, but there are some similarities. But the excitement comes from it being slightly irregular. There's going to be some comfort that comes from it having regularities, but there's going to be mainly more excitement coming from it being unpredictable. Just on a basic level, not looking at how any of the words relate to that, because that's not what I'm interested in, but that's the main concept. Okay, let's keep going. So actually, all four of those lines seemed a lot more regular than the previous ones. Even in pitch, they're kind of similar. Lower as well, because the other one's up there, and this is is almost like a whole octave lower, as something else becomes more important in what we're listening to, which is this kind of raising thing going on, which is a classic intensifier building us up to whatever comes afterwards. There's also a little bit of a strange filter on the voice. This is really common on this album, is unusual sounds around standard instrumentation or voices. So he often changes the EQ on his voice, and so this changes from quite an open sound for this first one, compressed but not like distorted, to then much more sort of bandwidth closed sound. Let's hear that change again. Pretty clear. But then it's got all these high frequencies to it, but it doesn't have much of that depth, right? And that's not his voice, that's just the processing that's on it. We've also intensified the drums there. We get kicks on every eighth note, dum 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 dum, with the snare still on every 16th.
Money, no motion, you know you getting cut. Bitches trying to keep me down and never see me when I'm up. I'm dressed like Rhythm Nation, no patient for who you holding up. People treating them like Messiah, they're not holy to us.
Wow, well, very different section here, isn't it? We've lost the drums entirely. We've got another strange thing on the voice. It feels, again, high, but not quite in the same way. I can't, unfortunately, because I don't have the capability, go into the explicit differences in the frequency spectrum there. But this feels a bit more like it's sort of missing somewhere, I would say, in the sort of high mids. It's missing something unexpectedly. I might be wrong about that. But more importantly... Oh dear. poor microphone. Come on, dude. What's up? There we go. We've got some harmony come through. And some melody. Let's hear it again. Yeah, it's not what I thought it was, but it's Oh, let's hear it again. Why am I struggling? F major. Yeah. And then D flat major, I guess. A flat major. Yeah, and then we get the G flat with those two added notes to it. So this feels very Spanish guitar, doesn't it? That's the coding it's going for. I would say it doesn't quite achieve it. For instance, we get this nice standard sort of F major scale, which then is contradicted by the chords that go underneath. The D flat chord doesn't fit in F major at all. It's the sort of flat 6 chord of the key, and then the A flat doesn't actually either. So we're getting this this modal interchange straight away here, which is quite powerful. And then the next time around we go back to the F, but this time we don't have the D flat chord. We have this quite clashy G flat chord. Now it's a G flat at the bottom, and then we have a sort of holdover from the F chord at the top there, which is very classic in flamenco music, I would say. Because we just shift a little bit of the chord up. To be honest, it would be more likely to go up the whole chord. Something like that would be maybe more likely, but this way we get sort of this very big clash between the two, which is exciting. The other chord sequence doesn't really connote flamenco or Spanish guitar music. That's more of a sort of epic rock kind of sequence, especially that to that, because it's this big modal shift. And that to that, dum dum, I guess would occur in rock music a fair amount as well. And then we shift back again. So we've got sort of two different things coming through in the harmony there, at least to me, maybe not to everybody. The main focus, I would say, is that Spanish influence, isn't it? Let's say some things we like about this so far. We love about it even. We do like the vocal processing, I would say. I think it adds a layer to this music that is, sort of puts it in a special category, not something that you would normally get at all. So I really like that. We like modal interplay as usual. Very common thing to be used in the music I look at least. But yeah, it's something that I guess I feel a lot of like emotional weight lies on that. I guess we also like irregular beat patterns, or irregular emphasis patterns, more like irregular emphasis patterns. So that's the where we have the like 3 and then the 2 and then the 4 kind of thing. It's quite exciting. It's not saying that we're in an unusual time signature, because we aren't. So it's not an irregular meter. It's just an irregular beat pattern within that meter. You could argue that the two things are the same, and you could, and I'm not interested in having that conversation right now, but feel free to leave a comment about it. Let's go. Okay, very, very quickly into a completely different thing. This is within the first 40 seconds of this song. We've had really like 4 different main sections. You could even say that maybe 5, but really different textures each time. So big textural shifts is another thing that we really like. Big textural shifts. And I would say sudden as well, but I guess the big sort of takes that already. Yeah, what is it more like here? It's like a soft sort of lo-fi electronic texture, isn't it? We've got lots of beating things, giving us a similar harmony. We're not too far from where we were, except we have gone more to an F minor kind of thing. Yeah, I think we still have a D flat chord there. Let's hear it one more time.
People treating them like Messiah, they're not holy to us.
Yeah, so the bloopy bloops giving us stuff from the F minor scale, and we do have a big boom, boom. Yeah. So as well as it having that lo-fi feel, we've also got these really heavy distorted synths giving us that that sort of blowout of the texture, really taking up the whole space with that heavy bass sound. Yeah, just blowing everything out. And then also the distortion on them is a really, yeah, really quite emotionally hefty noise. Yeah, let's not write anything down right now, but it's more of an F minor side now rather than an F major. So it does have that sort of slightly more like comfortably sad sound rather than this sort of combative sound that we had in that section of modal interchange. We've had similar flows going through each of these sections, which is an interesting uniting feature, because the textures, the rhythms in the background, none of those things have been particularly similar between the things except for the vocal. So I think that's definitely something to write down, is vocal consistency through different textures or something like that. That's such a weird specific thing, but it is something that's really cool about this track. Vocal consistency, yeah. Come on, there's only so fast I can write. Consistency through sections, and we might not actually care about that in a lot of songs. It's just really in this track where it makes a lot of sense as one of the coolest aspects, because everything else is shifting so much. Okay, well, we actually got a repeat of our first section there, but we had a bit more of that bloopy bloop electronica lo-fi in the background. So we've had sort of a merger of sections. So we do like hybrid sections, absolutely. Hybrid sections are the bread and butter of writing exciting music, I think. You set out your sort of modes and then you slowly integrate them. Yeah, so satisfying. Hybrid sections, really nice. Here's our build section again. Very much similar there, but I think we had a different balance. I think really the only difference with that and the first time is that we had a different balance on all the instruments that were involved, because the vocal seemed a little more behind, even though it was slightly more behind than most of the sections there anyway. Yeah, this time it felt particularly sort of lost underneath those heavy drums. Anyway, moving on.
living and keep this rapping us. It's effing that I'm packing, gon' back me up in myself I trust. There was a time that thought the love go hand in hand with lust, and every time I'm down I got another bitch to cheer me up. It's obvious I'm not with the faking niggas, they really can't. And I commit to hating specific gauges, I never change. Dressing like I'm taking, do with it like Tomb Red. I'm hoping in the alias who stays who really ain't that.
Well, this section goes on longer, doesn't it? So augmentation, absolutely something we like. Yeah, we've got plenty of space over there. Augmentation, making things go on longer. We also have an added strings section in the background, don't we? Just one line, not doing anything super exciting, but just filling out the acoustic quite a lot, because those acoustic guitars, they sound very sort of thin and bright, bling, kind of like the vocal processing that has been added to the voice as well. Sounds very thin and bright. We're losing quite a lot of that low frequency. Actually, I think there is some there, but I think it's this strange sort of acoustic space noise that is quite unsettling. And you get it on like bad records. If you listen to a lot of stuff on like freesound.org where people have gone and recorded things, there's a lot of like low-level rumble a lot of the time because it's out in the world rather than in a recording studio. So you've got the sounds of the world, you've got the sounds of cars, you've got, I don't know, people walking, things going on underground. All of these things contribute to this quite loud soundscape that you get on those recordings, and we have that, I think, at a low level here. It makes this kind of uncomfortable, low frequency that isn't really present. It's not there for any musical reason. It's maybe there for an artistic reason, but it adds a level of uncomfortability, I think. But that's being a little bit covered up by the strings adding a bit more space and sort of depth to the sound here, I think. Fun. Yeah, I didn't mention it the first time, but that sort of 2-bar section there, where we get lots of little bitty noises, that's the one real break in the flow that we've had here. In fact, we've had 2 now because we've repeated the structure again. But it's really just that one particular moment where we get this texture coming through, instrumental, and I guess there's a bit of a sort of vocal aspect to that sound, isn't it? It's like a up there. I can't do glottals up there, damn. That kind of thing, just going yeah, cool. I mean, it sounds good, doesn't it? And it's very exciting keeping up all these different things. However, we have repeated now, and it's funny, going into this I sort of thought it was a linear progression, but clearly we've got this repeat. Same kind of thing there, and again it's an augmentation. Okay, so now we've still got that lo-fi sound coming through. We've got the snare back in from the first section, but we haven't got the flow with it. So it followed the same progression as the first set of sections, but now it's not doing the same thing because we haven't got the voice. We haven't got the voice through. Well, that was fun. Tempo change. We do like tempo change. So it's getting slower as we get into what may be a new section. Although it does feel like a similar space to where our guitars are in, but they don't seem to have come in immediately. Okay, in that space we had just a A flat. So we've been based around F generally here. We have had a bit of A flat, but in passing. But here we land on that A flat, and we sort of something like that in the background as well, just for a moment. But it's really all about that long held A flat. And then something like that, really reinforcing that A flat tonality. So we've had quite a change of tonal center here, and we do like that, changing tonal centers. We might still go back to F, but here we've got A flat, which is it's a relative major, so that's quite a nice, very relaxing, and you know, sort of normal change to make, which is nice. Center. Okay, and I also like the sort of free time feeling in this bit as well. Now let's just check if we actually end up going at a different tempo in this next section.
Money cause they chasing bitches. Niggas be chasing bitches out they league and spending check.
Yeah, definitely a bit slower in this next section. Why not? Let's work out what it actually is. I'll just go on the old tempo tapping website. The one I normally use hasn't come up this time. That's annoying. I think it's in my bookmarks. Sorry about this. Hopefully it won't take too long. No, it's not there. That's a real shame. Okay, tempo tap. Let's just do that. That's the one, I think. Let's bookmark it. Okay. All right. Are we ready? Let's listen to that first bit a bit again. Okay, so this is about 111, 112 maybe. And then when we get to here, 1, 2, 3, 4. More like 91. Okay, so that's a change of 20 BPM. That's quite a big, significant change, because when we're at 111, we're quite close to 120, which is 2 beats per second. And when we're at 90, that's 1.5 beats per second. So we're really quite close to like a third of the speed. Is that right? Half of the speed would be, yeah, I guess it's a third of a speed. Because then, yeah, every 3 we would get 2. I don't know, that's blowing my brain out at the moment. But anyway, it's quite a significant difference, and you can feel that in the way that this still 16th note flow feels a lot more laid back. Da 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 ba da ba da ba da ba da ba da. Right, much different.
Money cause they chasing bitches. Niggas be chasing bitches out they league and spending chicken. Okay, how can I say this? I'm the bravest in my circle. There's no rehearsal. It's black and on purpose. I know you can't relate.
Very different texture, isn't it? We've got a bass guitar. We've got no drums. Got a little bit of sort of echoing in the voice, which is interesting, and we've got this electric guitar giving us a melody over the top. It's not actually A flat, and actually that doesn't really feel like our home for very long. We get this thing over the top, but then we go to this G flat minor chord, and then to a D flat major chord. Well, we've had a lot of D flat major before as well. This is actually 3 chords we've had before. Well, we haven't had G flat minor, I suppose. We've had G flat major. We had that. So we've used a lot of the same kind of things, just in a very different way. And now we feel more comfortable on that D flat chord instead. So yeah, this is using something like what do you call it? It's like, is it harmonic major? Yeah, I think so. Do 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 do. So it's the same as harmonic minor. It just has a major third to it. I think that's what would qualify as this scale, which is a little bit of a, you know, exoticized scale, something we don't often or didn't naturally get in Western music for hundreds of years, but is something that naturally exists in the music of, say, Iran and India and lots of places around there.
Everything that I do is channel through my skin. I know you hate everything that I say.
Okay, a few ride cymbals.
Most of these niggas, they waking up and they be doing the same shit every day.
2 different ride cymbals.
In the pot and make it do the Macarena.
Okay, well, this feels very different again, doesn't it? A new textural shift to a distorted bass. Yeah, really giving us lots of power there. And we've got this free, exciting sort of rock kit as well. We have this moment of a chord coming in earlier than you would expect. Dum 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 boom boom boom. So it feels like we've got a 3/4 bar there, but actually we don't, or maybe a 7/8 bar. We don't, because it evens out later on. So it's just a chord coming in just before the bar, which is quite nice, but I'm not going to write it down. I don't know. There's still some strangeness to the production here, isn't there? It doesn't feel like it's going explicitly for the classic sound of what a rock band or whatever this might be. I guess drums and distorted bass, you'd be going for more like a lightning bolt sound, and you would have everything blown out to ridiculous compression levels, but we haven't got that here. We've got quite a free, nice sounding kit, especially in comparison to other parts of this track where we've had really heavy, distorted sounds in the kit. This is much freer and nicer. It's just the bass which is distorted. And we've got a guitar in there as well, which is not giving us too much extra. Another sudden change. Okay, and now much more like a classic Linkin Park or maybe Rage Against the Machine riff. That might be sacrilege. Still based around our A flat, okay. So now we're staying on that A flat a bit more. Before we were moving to the D flat regularly, but now we've stayed on that. We've got that sort of dark flat 6 line there, but it's a bit ambiguous because I don't think we've got the third in there. But we know what we would expect from the third there. We would expect that major sound, but we haven't got it. We've got do and we've got do do do. So it's a little ambiguous, and those things would go better with a flattened third. That would feel more comfortable. But this hasn't been much about comfort, this song, has it? There's that distorted bass again. This is very like Dream Brother by Jeff Buckley, which has this, again, it's sort of like an Eastern influence that has been taken into Western music, but this so you have this pedal note that keeps repeating in between the melody notes. Classically, a lot of Indian Hindustani music has been based on sort of drones. You get this long held note in the low frequencies that then the melody builds off of. So that this is giving that same kind of idea. To be honest, that is true of a lot of old music. It's true of a certain amount of Gregorian chant. It's true of Russian Orthodox music, for instance, Greek Orthodox music. They have this low note to center everything on, and then they build off that. To be honest, Gregorian chant is often unaccompanied, but it is really, really common across the world to have drones like this. However, because of the scale used here, it has that more Eastern coded thing. So we've gone for various different codes in this music, haven't we? And then there's been something slightly off about basically all of them. Interesting. I mean, goodness knows. What could that be? Okay. Down, down, down. And that... What is it? It could be just a saxophone. It could potentially be a more ethnically appropriate instrument, but we don't have anything written in the credits here, so I don't know. It could be I don't know, maybe like a shanai or potentially a duduk, I suppose. And if you want awareness of when things like duduks are appropriate, there's a YouTuber called Faria Faraji who does very good, well, I guess, researched ethnomusicological videos. I definitely go and seek those out. But yeah, it's this. Let's just assume it's a saxophone, and it's this sudden moment of saxophone. We've not had anything like it in the track before. It doesn't go on to do anything with this in the album, as far as I can tell. So the textures in this song really are just they're like it's like pop art, I would say. It's like Andy Warhol has taken, here's this image you know quite well, splash, here it is on the canvas, and it's right next to this other image that you know very well. There's another guy who does this more clearly than Andy Warhol, but I can never remember his name, and it's not Robert Rauschenberg, who I always think of. I can't remember his name, annoyingly, but he was around in the 50s, and he used to juxtapose images that were very familiar, but because of the context that they're in, they developed this strange alienation, maybe this strange uncomfortability, and that I think is key to what's going on here in this song. It has loads of familiar aspects, which are, you know, not like your favorite kinds of music necessarily, especially if you're a hip hop fan, but you're getting them barraged at each other, sometimes overlapped, and they make these new images which just don't have the same feeling as those as they would in a more natural context. It's kind of fun, isn't it? It's kind of exciting. It is a bit of an onslaught, and a lot of this album is also similarly kind of difficult, and that is no real bad thing. It's just something to be aware of. But yeah, we found lots of fun stuff to look at there. Kind of interesting. Let's just add to the list. Let's put binary structure, because despite it having a repeat in the first thing, it really does split down the middle, and there's almost nothing in the second half that is repeated in that is present in the first half. It's really this big cut. You have some instrumental crossover, like they both have drums. Wow. They both have JPEGMAFIA rapping in them. Wow. But the textures are very different. The approach is very different. We don't have suddenly changing textures in the same kind of way. We have a different tonal center. We have a different tempo, which is a massive thing. So it's like a beat switch, but it doesn't happen like on a dime. We have this kind of interesting slowdown in the drums. which is cool. It means you could probably do this with live instrumentation, which would be exciting. Although you'd need, like, I guess, a lot of different people playing, or maybe just loads of instruments for those individuals. Anyway, yeah, that's what's it even called? Burning Hammer, isn't it? Burning Hammer from the new JPEGMAFIA album. I know I'm 2 weeks late with this. Gosh, shocking. I hope that people haven't just completely forgotten about it. Please, go and listen to the album. It's exciting. Go and listen to JPEGMAFIA's previous work. I think lots of people like, all of them. So Black Ben Carson, I haven't listened to, but I have listened to All My Heroes Are Cornballs, which I've got tired of, but at a certain point I did enjoy. The one before that, Veteran is highly regarded. I don't like LP very much, but I do like the one after that, which I want to say I Hid All My Kisses For You, but that's totally not what it's called. What's it called? Man. Yes, I Lay Down My Life For You. Yeah, very different. I Lay Down My Life For You. I do like that one. And Scaring the Hose as well. Very exciting collaboration with Danny Brown. He's done quite a lot. So if you haven't heard of JPEGMAFIA, probably worth a dive at least. Go on, treat yourself. See you soon. Have a great life and a great day. Bye bye.